We'll be paying interest until hell freezes over, says Peter Stalias, economist, PhD. What did Einstein mean when he said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, and whoever understands it collects it, and whoever doesn't understand it pays it? And the chart shows one that is very revealing about how we perceive growth in our lives and the world. In the graph, the vertical axis represents growth and the horizontal represents time. The three curves A, B, and C illustrate three forms of growth over time. And here we see the horizontal part. Curve A depicts the natural development of every living organism in nature. Let's say man grows and develops until he's 21 years old, and then in this form he continues his life with natural qualitative differences where at some point he abandons the worldly, and this generally applies to plants, animals, and humans. Curve B shows a form of potential linear economic growth. Given resources, human and natural, and the prevailing technology, we will continually be able to produce on this standard until less technology or fewer resources are employed, when we will not be producing on this line but on another, further down than that, but at the same standard but not above it. And curve C is of particular interest. In nature, when this occurs, it's associated with rapid death, or if consciously applied by humans as a form of development, it brings universal destruction. The shape of the C curve depicts the development of cancer in humans. As it appears in a short time, it develops, surpasses the curve A and B, and its growth is so rapid in time that it becomes parallel to the vertical axis and finally destroys the carrier. This process is called the exponential growth over time of cancer cells, or the exponential decay over time of the person suffering from it. I'll give you a less depressing example to understand this form of growth or exponential growth. According to tradition, when the Brahmin Sisa presented chess to the king of Persia, he was so fascinated by it that he asked Sisa what he would like as a reward. Then that wise but also cunning monk asked for as many grains of wheat as could be included in the 64 squares of the chessboard, putting in the first square 1 grain, in the second 2, in the third 4, in the fourth 8, etc., thus doubling each time in the next square. The king, considering the request unimportant, asked him again about something more serious. But at Sisa's inherent insistence, the king ordered the minister of food to satisfy Sisa's request, but his surprise was great, to the point of a stroke, when the minister of food reported to him that not only the wheat of the hegemony, but also the entire world production collected would not be enough to satisfy Sisa's request. That is, he told him that if the weight of the grain of wheat is 0.053 grams, it would take 977 billion some odd tons of wheat, or, that's just much of a number, grains of wheat to cover the chessboard of Sisa. If the king kept his promise, the subjects would, for hundreds of years, work for Sisa, and the state would be settled. Sisa's demand was a cancer to the kingdom. In other words, while Vasilio's product was on curve B, Sisa demanded curve C as a fee. Impossible. Consider that world wheat production in 2014-15 was 722 million tons, according to the U.S. Department of Agriculture. My greetings on this occasion to the Chess Club of Corfu, he says. I have yet another nice example. Suppose that on the day Jesus was born, someone deposited at 4% annual interest 1 cent. In 1750 AD, one of his descendants arrives at the bank and asks for the capital and interest. The bank would normally have to pay him a ball of gold equal to the weight of the earth. If he appeared in 1990 and demanded interest and principal, that is, after 240 years, the bank would have to pay him 8,190 balls of gold equal to the weight of the earth each one. So if we now assume that the interest rate was 5%, then the gold ball weighed equal to the weight of the earth would be entitled to it in 1466 AD, while in 1990, after 444 years, he would be entitled to 2,200 billion gold balls each equal to 1 with the weight of the earth. Have you seen what this 1% does? What natural production could repay such a demand? None. To better understand exponential growth, or as the economists call it, compound interest, there's a rule of thumb called the rule of 72. This, roughly speaking, gives us a doubling time of a debt. That is, the doubling time is found if we divide the number 72 by the interest rate. That is, a debt with an interest rate of 1% doubles in 72 years, but with 2% it doubles in 31 years. With 3% it doubles in 24 years. With 6% it doubles in 12 years. With 10% it doubles in 7.2 years. And with 12% interest, it doubles in 6 years. With 20% that credit cards put in just 3.6 years, the debt has been doubled. This non-natural type of development, but a mathematical type of development, was introduced into economic life by the banksters and the barons of money after John Calvin, 1509 to 1564, one of the great fathers of Protestantism, leaving behind the Koran and the Christian churches that condemned usury. Since then, Geneva and Switzerland became one of the largest financial centers, while the foundations of the theological economic thinking, in other words, neoliberalism, were laid. In this way, the owners of capital and the bankers became the dominant power in the West, not only over the workers, but also over the states, the politicians, the businesses, the entrepreneurs, the people of art, the scientists, and in general, they became dominant in every form of activity and thought production on Earth. They arbitrarily set interest rates as high as they wish. For one thing, money, produced by a book entry and nowadays by a simple keystroke, costs nothing, and then to punish and get back their interest and capital, they're capable of cannibalizing everyone who has borrowed money. The wars and disasters of the 19th and 20th centuries and economic crises were caused by the unstable functioning of the financial markets and their greed. This kind of banking is that of the European Union, banking of darkness. Greece is currently on curve C. Public and private debts are increasing exponentially. Its production is decreasing every year due to the austerity policy that's supposed to get it out of the crisis. In other words, it does not produce on curve B, but on another curve further down to the right, on the one shown on the graph, while its debts are required based on curve C. That's why Einstein makes us laugh. He could say, "You are stupid and get paid." He could say, "You are stupid and get paid." As a result, debts grow exponentially, production declines until the country is dissolved and at the complete mercy of creditors. And this, of course, as a fact, is not so serious in the eyes of the creditors. They know that Greece cannot produce these mythical amounts. Natural production can never outpace the exponential growth of debts. But the natural production of the country can be appropriated and have its products forever. The wealth of a country is always greater than any debt. So the debtor country must be confiscated. As long as the law governing the debts, on the basis of which any dispute can be raised, is not Greek, the establishment is friendly and redeemed by creditors. And finally, there is an international organization, the IMF, the International Monetary Fund. A sacred triangle of confiscation of the country is satisfied. This project is carried out by IMF with the assistance of European Union to bring the Greek economy to the standard of the free market, which the EU requires, while at the same time selling the productive property, private and public as well as the people. Debts, meanwhile, keep running. This is exactly where we are, whether we like it or not. The country was conquered and plundered without opening a nose. In other words, without anybody having a nosebleed. The country is turning into a free labor zone. So we're in a state of emergency. We are on the brink of an epic disaster. The homeland is lost. Hellenism, which will survive in any case, suffers a great defeat, while the establishment order has already gnawed away by intimidating and blackmailing the people. We must at all costs get rid of those who rule us, right? First time left, everyone is vomiting, slaves parties of the euro. The return of the national currency is a sufficient and necessary condition to return to normal democratic life. to national security to put Greece back to work, to restore wages and pensions to decent levels, to save Greeks from unjust debts, to save their homes, to have good education and health. So this is written by economist, PhD, Spiros Stalias, New York, 10th February 2023, sorry. And this is translated for you from a Greek article. Please leave your comments and thank you for your support. Kindly support my Patreon account. The daily posts are 5 videos daily, and they are totally different from what I have on my YouTube channel. Thank you so much for your support and that you find all my content so interesting. You'll find the Patreon account details in the description box.